Hello everyone, and welcome once again to Caleb Blake's Books. Today I am going to be doing the mid-year freak out tag. This is a tag that goes around quite a lot over here on BookTube during the summer. Of course, now that we're halfway through the year and things like that. I did one of these, I think, a couple years ago. I don't think I did it last year, so I figured I would do it again for this year. I thought it might be fun. So yeah, I suppose we will get right into it. So the first question, of course, is what is the best book that you've read so far this year? This one's kind of hard for me to choose because there's a few books this year that I really liked. However, one of them was a later book in a series, which I'm going to save for the next question. So for this, the best book that I read this year, the answer that I'm going to go with is going to be Pet Sematary by Stephen King. I loved reading that book. One of the most emotionally impactful books that I have ever read. Certainly one of the most impactful ones that I've read this year, and just had a really good time with it. Just an absolutely fantastic book from beginning to end. And I've loved every Stephen King book I've read. I've read 5 of them now, I think. And that one is in contention for being my favorite one, although that's the case for several of them that I've read already. I could make a case for 3 or 4 out of the 5 being my favorite book of his. So yeah, but that one is definitely a strong contender, and I really love that book a lot. The second question is the follow-up. What is the best sequel that you read this year? Technically, I started this book at the end of last year, but it was like the 30th of December or something, so I read most of it during the beginning of this year, and that is Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. Now, this one's kind of a cop-out answer because Stormlight's my favorite series, and Sanderson is probably my favorite author. But I did really enjoy Wind and Truth. I get why a lot of people, like some of the issues a lot of people had with it, but to me, I just absolutely loved my time with it. It's not my favorite Stormlight book by any means, but I did really enjoy it, and just had such an excellent and satisfying, in a sense anyway, very, very satisfying like conclusion to this first arc of Stormlight. Set up a lot of really interesting things for the back half of the series. Really did some interesting things with the characters, had some very impactful moments, things like that. Like it was a very different book for the series, but it's one that I still really enjoyed a lot, and really had a big impact on me. And I just really enjoyed it a whole lot. Next question is, what is a new release you haven't gotten around to yet that you really want to read? This one I had to think about because I don't read a whole lot of new releases to begin with, but I would say one of the new releases that I most am excited to read eventually is actually Discovery by J.A.J. Minton. This is a self-published book written by the people behind the BookTube channel Talking Story, which is a fantastic channel if you are not subscribed to them. They're one of my favorites on BookTube. The channel is a father-son duo, but the J.A.J. Minton is all 3 members of the family. The father, mother, and their son all wrote a book together, and this book, to me, it hits a lot of things that I really enjoy. I know they're big fans of like Lovecraftian cosmic horror type stuff, which they have described this book as having elements of, which makes me very interested. And a few other things that I think is really interesting about the book as well that they've talked about. And in addition to that, I just really like, all 3 of them. I think that they all have the ability to, especially collectively, write something really excellent. And everything I've heard about this book from other people has been really positive. So I really want to read that. Haven't been able to yet, but I really want to. And then the next question is, what is my most anticipated book that I am excited for that's coming out later in the year? Now I have 2 of these, and like I said, I don't read a whole lot of new releases, so this one I kind of had to just think about a little bit, like, oh, what are some books that I am interested in coming out later this year? First one is the final book in the Star Wars The High Republic series, which actually is coming out very soon. It may even be out by the time this video releases, I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly when it comes out, but that is Trials of the Jedi by Charles Soule. Now, I am not caught up on The High Republic, so I haven't read the couple of books preceding this one yet. I still need to read the young adult books of Phase 3, and I also need to read the previous adult book. Although I have read the first one, Eye of Darkness, which I really enjoyed. But I've been a fan of The High Republic since it came out. The High Republic was the series that got me back into reading, and I've been following it ever since. Haven't quite been caught up with it ever since Phase 2, really. But I read, I think, every single Phase 1 book, at least the adult and YA books. I've read all of them at release, I think. And really enjoyed them. Enjoyed Phase 2 a decent bit. Didn't love it as much, but I enjoyed it. This is a series that, first of all, is very special to me, but also is one that I really love, just for how unique and different and exciting it is for Star Wars. I really like it. I'm excited to see how it concludes with this book. The other one that I picked for anticipated release is going to be The Blackfire Blade by James Logan. This is the follow-up to The Silver Blood Promise, which came out, I think, back at the end of 2023, and is a book that I absolutely loved. Or it may have come out last year, actually. I can't remember. Either way, it was a relatively recent book. It was a debut book as well. It was his first released novel, and I absolutely loved that book. It was so much fun. Had a great time reading that one. It was one of the most fun, entertaining books that I've read. I had a great time with it, and so I've been really looking forward to the follow-up, which is coming out later this year. I think this fall-ish, maybe, I think is when that's coming out. So I'm really looking forward to that one. That one, if I am able to get it at or close to release, I will probably want to, because I really liked the first book. Next is going to be the biggest disappointment that I had in terms of my reading so far this year. I have a few that I could pick for this, and I'm going to talk just briefly about each of them. First one is The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. This was a reread for me. Some of you may know, if you've hung around the channel for a while, I read the first 3 Wheel of Time books back a few years ago, and then I stopped halfway through book 4. And that was, I think, it'll have been 2 years, I think, in August since that happened. So I was trying the series again to see if I could get excited about it again. And I got, I think, about halfway through The Eye of the World again. And I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it the first time around a lot. So I can see the appeal of these books for sure in a lot of ways, but just didn't hook me in, didn't make me really excited about the series again. So I decided to put it down and maybe try it again, in another few years or something. So that was very disappointing to me, because I really wanted to get into the Wheel of Time, and it's a series that, like, I read the first few books and I was like, yeah, I can see, like, the potential here, and I enjoyed the books generally, but I just didn't love them enough to be willing to continue with a 14-book series, I think. So that was kind of disappointing. Hopefully I'll try it again sometime later on and enjoy it more. Another one for me was Star Wars The High Republic Path of Vengeance, which was the final book of the High Republic Phase 2 that I had to read. That one was disappointing for me for a couple reasons. First of all, I was not quite as much in love with Phase 2 as I was Phase 1. The books I think were still pretty good, and there was 1 or 2 that I really liked, but generally was not as much a fan of it. But I really was hoping, like, I read 4 Phase 2 books, and that was the last one I had to read. I was like, man, I hope I love this one, and I didn't particularly care too much for it. So there was that. I went in hoping I'd love it, and I just didn't. Also, because I had heard so many good things about it, so that definitely set some expectations that I didn't think I really were followed through on for me. And then also it was written by Cavan Scott, who wrote arguably my favorite High Republic book, which is The Rising Storm. So I was really hoping I would enjoy that one. Just didn't quite land for me. And the last one I would say was Theft of Fire by Devin Erickson. This is one that I was sent. This is a indie book, and I really wanted to like it because I've heard a lot of people really, really liked this book, and it just did not work for me in several ways. It was probably my least favorite book that I've read this year, if I'm being completely honest. And I really wanted to enjoy it because, it was sent to me. I'm not going to let that color my impression of a book necessarily, but, it was sent to me. That was nice. I wanted to, be able to say I enjoyed the book. And I also had just heard so many good things about it and all this stuff. It just didn't work for me, unfortunately. Then the next question is, what is the biggest surprise of the year for you? And there's a couple here for me, I think. One of them was Assassin's Creed Black Flag, the novelization, which I really, really enjoyed. I went into that expecting it to be like just a good, fun time, and I actually really, really loved it because it added so much to the video game. and just was an amazing read. And I just had a whole lot of fun with that one. And funnily enough, the other biggest surprise for me is 50 Shades of Grey, which was a very interesting book. I loved that book for reasons I still do not entirely understand. It was one of the most perplexing books I've ever read, but somehow I enjoyed it all the way through. And I don't even understand how or why. And yeah, I'm gonna stop talking now, because even back when I reviewed it, I was just confused the whole time, and I can feel myself working up to that again now that I'm talking about it again. So I'm just gonna leave it there. Next question is your favorite new author, either a debut author or one that you've read for the first time. There's not a whole lot of authors that I read for the first time this year, but one that I did read and really enjoyed the book of theirs that I read was M.L. Wong, who wrote The Sword of Kaigen, which I read a couple months ago and loved. I thought that was an amazing book. That was one where I had heard a lot of amazing things about it, and I think it was 100% deserved. Just a fantastic book overall. Really cool kind of Asian-inspired fantasy with a really impactful and touching story, with really good characters, really interesting world-building type stuff, really cool action, all that kind of thing. Some of the best action I've ever read in that book. So yeah, just an overall really good book, and I am excited to read more of Emma Wong's stuff in the future, I think. Next couple questions. First one is your new favorite fictional crush, which I'm just not gonna answer. That's not really a question I feel is relevant to me. But the next one is your new favorite character from a book you read. For that one, it's hard to say because I've enjoyed a lot of characters that I've read this year, but I would say my favorite, that off the top of my head at least, is Judd from Pet Sematary. I really liked him. Really contributed a lot, I think, to that story. And also I really liked him because, you know, he's a Mainer, or a Maina, as we'd say. And I also am from Maine. And he was one of, like, I haven't read a whole lot of books set in the place that I live, but he was like a very faithful portrayal of like an older person from Maine, I think. Like I could see it very well. So he was just fun to read for me. Next question is a book that made you cry. I have 3 of them here. They're all books I've talked about already, so I won't spend too much time on them. One of them was The Sword of Kaigen, which, you know, just had some very impactful moments, some moments that really got to me, and yeah, some moments that were very impactful for me, and things like that. Very tragic, very, you know, heart-wrenching and things like that. Also Wind and Truth, partially for some of the same reasons, some like pretty heart-wrenching stuff in there, but also like Sanderson, especially in the Stormlight Archive, just has a way of pulling really strong emotional reactions out of me, because I just really love and care about these characters, and every single Stormlight book I think has made me cry at least once. So that definitely was the case here as well, whether it was because of an event that was sad and heartbreaking, or an event that just maybe because of just how emotionally impactful it was, not in a sad sense, but in a general sense. Whatever it may be, you know, that book definitely had that for me. And then also Pet Sematary by Stephen King, of course. The horror in that book really affected me personally for reasons I'm not going to get into because they could count as spoilers. But there are things about that book that really hit me and made me very emotional, shall we say. So I will go with that one for my third pick. Next question is a book that made you happy. I have a couple of them here. So the first is actually a set of 3 graphic novels, the Bloodborne graphic novels. I'm a big fan of the video game Bloodborne, and these made me very happy just as a fan of the video game, like getting little bits of the lore. Like there's not really much in there that I didn't already know in a sense, but I really liked seeing the way that the lore was applied to them, and it was really cool and really interesting. And just getting to spend more time in that world and getting something new in that world for me was just really cool. Made me very happy, I guess. The other one is one that I can't entirely talk about because I literally just started it, so I haven't even finished it. I've read like maybe a fifth of it so far, but Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, I, at time of recording this, just started that, and I've read the first handful of chapters at this point, and I have had such a blast with that, even just those first few chapters, and I think the rest of the book is going to be a big win for me, because that book, like, I have felt very similarly about that book to the way I feel about like Terry Pratchett, which I've seen several people kind of compare the two. And the writing style of them is a little different, but it's also kind of similar in some ways. And I always have a delightful time usually reading Terry Pratchett. And so that's kind of the same here. It's just a really fun book, at least so far, and I think it's probably going to continue to be the case. Next one is going to be the most beautiful book that I have bought or received. This one I could go for a few, I think, but the one that I think I'm going to go with is An Echo of Things to Come, I think is the name of it, by James Islington, or Islington, however you say his name. I have not gotten the other books in the Lycanius trilogy yet, but I just saw this one used for cheap, and so I got it because I really want to read this trilogy. And I love the style of artwork on those books, especially the second one. The second one probably has my favorite artwork. It is like the perfect use of like that white cover minimalism that you get in some books nowadays, where it's just very like bland white, but and it's minimal, but it also has a really nice kind of artistic look to it. It's really great artwork. I really like it. That is like a style that I really like. So I'm going to say that one. And then the final question of the tag is, what are some books that you need to read throughout the rest of the year? Which, that's a hard question to answer. I have planned out some of my TBRs for the rest of the months of the year, but I always kind of let those be a little flexible. I try to anyway, but it's hard for me to figure out what I'm going to fit in the rest of the year because I have a lot of books that I want to read, a lot of books that I need to read, and it's hard to find a spot for all of them, but a few of them I really want to try to get caught up more on the High Republic this year. I'm probably not going to finish it this year, but I at least want to read some more of it. I really want to continue the Dune series, which I am planning to read the second book soon. I want to read some more of those. I'm planning to hopefully finish up the Bloodsworn Saga trilogy this year. I need to read books 2 and 3. Some series I want to start. I really, if I can, would like to get started on Star Wars Legacy of the Force, if I can. I don't know if I'll be able to, because I don't own any of the books yet, but I really want to get started on that. I'd love to start The Expanse. I'd love to start Sun Eater, a few other ones as well. A couple other random ones that I can think of. I want to read more Stephen King this year. I'm planning to read Eyes of the Dragon sometime this summer, but I also want to get in at least one more sometime like in October or whatever, but I'm not sure which one I'm going to go for. It's going to be either It, The Stand, or The Shining. I don't know which one it's going to be yet, but I want to read one of those at least. Possibly two, but maybe only one. I'm not entirely sure. But I want to read one of those as well. Lots of other stuff as well. I'm hoping maybe I can get in The Name of the Wind sometime this year because I want to read that. I've wanted to read that for a while. Just a whole bunch of books. There's a whole bunch of books that I want to read later this year, and those are just, at least mostly, the ones that I already own, let alone all the ones that I don't have yet that I want to read. So we'll see how that goes. But that is pretty much it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this little tag. I always enjoy kind of seeing when other channels post these, so I thought I'd do it. And I enjoyed doing it the last time that I did it a couple years ago, so I thought it'd be fun. If you would like to do this yourself, I'm going to try to remember to put all the questions down in the description if I remember to, so hopefully I do. If not, then yell at me in the comments and I'll do it. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for this video. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.